people who are they're gonna judge me. They're gonna think I'm a failure. They're gonna make fun of me. They're gonna do these things. And I go, when you see someone on stage, do you think that? No. What we think, people, especially if you've never been on stage, is that must be hard to do. So you have the power of knowing that you're doing something they wish they could do it.
Welcome to the Funny in Failure podcast, a podcast that celebrates failure and shines the light on the emotional side of comedy, with yours truly, Michael Kahan.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Ivan is a poet and a great storyteller. He's genuinely mesmerizing with a rhythm and pace that is nourishing. Ivan is thoughtful, thought-provoking, and has a kindness of spirit that is rare. One of the many things I love about this chat is how he moved to Australia and started comedy again, but this time in a second language. The journey, the highs and lows, it's incredible to hear. Plus, Ivan talks about needing to make a change, and the love-hate relationship with social media is really interesting and we dive into. He's incredibly honest and reflective, which makes for a brilliant chat. I hope you enjoy this as much as I have. Just a heads up, Ivan is touring Australia and soon the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Check out tickets before they sell out. Apparently they're going very fast. Links are in the episode notes. Okay, let's get into it. Ivan Aristeguieta is an award-winning stand-up comedian, writer, and performer. Originally from Venezuela, Ivan moved to Australia after he was carjacked at gunpoint. He's performed all over the world from South America to the US, Canada, Japan, New Zealand, and the UK, featuring on and headlining some of the biggest comedy festivals and rooms. You may have seen him on the telly or online performing at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival Gala, as well as the Just for Laughs Montreal Comedy Festival, or as a guest panellist on shows such as Have You Been Paying Attention, The Project, The Weekly, Hughesy, We Have a Problem, and The Living Room. In 2016, his Australian immigration experience was fictionalised in a short-form series, Lost in Pronunciation, on ABC iView, which he co-created and co-wrote and performed in. In 2021, his live show, Pinata, was nominated for the biggest award in Australian comedy, Most Outstanding Comedy at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Ivan has also released 3 full-length comedy specials to date, and he's also a trained cook, food technologist, and a brewer. He also created the online sensation About This Much Live, a follow-along cooking party where Ivan brought his kitchen to yours via Zoom. He's also the winner of Best Comedy Weekly Award 2017, 2022, and 2023 Adelaide Fringe. So as you can imagine, we dive deep and we cover a lot. We chat about leaving Venezuela and starting again in Australia, performing in his second language, what keeps me up at night, death and rebirth, premise, the hero's journey, not having a home address for 4 years, bullfighting, identity and divorce, plus so much more. Before we get into this epic chat, in case you aren't aware, the videos are now available on YouTube under Michael Kahan. That's Kahan with a K, unless you're listening to it already. I'll still be posting snippets of these chats on Instagram under Funny in Failure, so check them out if you want to stay in the loop for upcoming episodes, or you want to ask a guest a question. I'd also love it if you would share the podcast or share your takeaways from the chat. It really motivates me, helps the podcast grow, and ensures I can lock in amazing guests like this one. And just as a final reminder, the podcast comes out at 3:30 Melbourne, Australian time, with the full video of the podcast to be released the following day. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's get into it. There's 2 things I'm upset about in life. I've got a very good life.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, the last season, and Star Wars, the last few movies.
I agree with you.
It genuinely, like, I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
The Star Wars films, I genuinely get upset. Like, often, once a month, I'm like, what were they doing? What were they thinking? How do you didn't even continue the story. You got rid of the director. And
I totally agree with you.
Why? Why do you think?
To the point that it took me so long to start watching, the new shows on
like
Disney
Obi-Wan.
Plus.
Yeah.
It took me so long because I was upset about it. I was very upset. My brother. So I was born in 1979. My brother was born in 1975.
Yep.
So my brother was the generation of those original children that grew up playing with the original toys.
Yeah. Oh, they're amazing toys.
And then I inherited that from my brother. So I have this theory that so my brother's Gen X.
Yep.
100%. But 1979 and that generation were Xennials.
Xennials.
Xennials is the transition generation between Gen X and millennials.
Okay.
And that's out there. It's a thing. My way of describing it is that the mentor character from a very iconic mentor from the Gen X generation will be Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
For millennials will be Dumbledore.
Ooh.
For Xennials, it's Mr. Miyagi.
Okay, that is. How did you come up? Okay, pause. How did you come up with that conclusion? I love it.
Because I spoke to my fellow 1979, 1980, 1981 friends.
Yep.
And our main reference for a character that gives you wisdom, shares wisdom, is Mr. Miyagi. It's not Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's not Dumbledore.
That is such a good. Oh my god. Because I do screenwriting and I'm always like referring to a hero, and I'm a millennial, but I go to Yoda sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
Because you're a fan of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you wouldn't be upset about the last.
Dumbledore, I wouldn't say I resonate with the same people, but that's very interesting. And you said that you're quite into, what do you call it, like fantasy and stuff. So you've been, doing this or interested in it since you were a kid?
No. So I became an avid reader late in life.
Yep.
So I'm 45. I'm going to say I became an avid reader around 30, like 10 years ago.
Ah.
Yeah, I hated reading. And it was always like a struggle for me, like things that humans we have, like I wish I exercised more, or I wish I could read more, but I can't do it. Well, those are two things that I
exercise and reading more.
Yeah, trying to exercise. Yeah. I think the exercise because I turn old and now we're worried about death and getting old, and yep. That's finally trying to exercise as a habit. But reading, I was always jealous of people who could read, and I always thought myself of getting too distracted or I'm not patient enough to keep reading. So then I found that reading was the one that helped me fall asleep and have a healthy sleep habit. Because if I was on the phone, I'll be wired all night, and I was struggling with sleeping, and I was trying to get into reading, and then a friend recommended a book, and I was like, okay, what sort of stories you like? I was like, I want just a basic hero character that I follow from the hero was little till they're old and they accomplished their thing. And he recommended, and this is not a fantasy book, by the way, he recommended The Power of One by Bill, I forgot his name. He's an Australian author, by the way. And there's an old movie. It's South Africa is mentioned a lot. It happens
probably not good things.
Yeah, well, it happens. It happens in the times of even before apartheid, like Nazis in Africa. Yeah. So that's the
interesting
that so it's about a kid that was had a terrible life, and he was brought up by black people, and then he was very skinny and weak and bullied at school in every potential way, not just because the way he was physically, but also the way he related to black people. He found boxing as an interesting as a way of being of overcoming his fears.
Yep.
And his trainer was a black guy as well, and it follows the story of his life being a boxer, trying to get some cash and make some money being a boxer, and then at the very end finding his arch nemesis. It's beautiful. It's a great book, and it's a big one. It's a big book, and it's also a movie. I think Matt Damon, he was like a teenager, he was the main character.
Oh, and it's got the same title.
Yeah, The Power of One.
The Power of One.
It's a great book. And then after that, I got into manga.
Yep.
Because I
like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. I found out that manga helped me focus and concentrating on the pages, because it got a lot of
visuals.
Yeah.
Are these the Japanese comics? Is that manga?
Yeah, but in English.
Yeah.
Because if you read the comics, any comic, you it's not just letters. It's letters and visuals and pictures and.
But also the way that the words are as well. Sometimes they're bigger and larger and they're bold. So it's like, yeah.
So you doze off. You not that quickly, because dozing off not in a sleepy way, but I mean your attention.
Yep.
Drift off. That's the word I wanted to.
Cool.
Second language, man.
Your English is better than mine, and it's my only language.
Drift off less quicker, because that was my issue with reading.
Yep.
I'll be reading 2 pages and I go, what did I read? I was just thinking about everything else.
Yeah, same.
So then I found as a grown up that reading is like a form of meditation, in the terms that you bring back the focus. So your mind drifts, and then back to the letters,
So
back to the
fully
words.
present, fully in the moment. Nothing else matters. You're going straight to.
And I feel like you're outside your brain when you're reading, because you're not thinking about your life or stuff. It's like watching a movie, but you have to work hard in order to watch it, because you have to read. And that's why I fall asleep quicker, because I'm not in my mind when I'm reading.
That's so interesting. And also, you're probably not using technology in that wires us, even if we go on like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. That really works us up on levels we don't even understand yet.
It doesn't work for everybody, because, for example, my wife, she's an avid reader her entire life, and she gets so excited and hooked on the book that she is one of those people who can stay awake all night because the book is a good book.
That's better than being on the phone or playing video games before bed, yeah.
For me, the book can be the best book ever, but if I'm falling asleep, I'll fall asleep.
I like that. So is there a big contrast? Like you're reading, you go to sleep, and then you'll see like at 3 a.m. the light and her reading the book. And, oh, that's so interesting. So was it because of her that got you connected to all of this, or something happened in your 30s where you wanted to make a change?
My divorce, the first marriage.
Yeah.
So I found myself. I decided after a divorce, we migrated to Australia together, and then we lived in Adelaide. And then after that, after a divorce, I decided that I didn't want to have my own place, because it felt like lonely.
Yeah.
So for almost 4 years,
You toured?
I toured without an address.
That is crazy. How was that? Like, did that help you in that? Because it's a very stressful. We won't get into
It's
it.
super stressful. It was stressful, but I think in hindsight it was great, because it kept me seeing people a lot, because I depended on staying with friends or family. I have family in Australia as well. So, like, where am I going to gig in 2 weeks' time? So if I find the gigs, let's say I'll book gigs in Perth, and then my brother was living in Perth at the time. So hey bro, I'm booking 2 weeks of gigs in Perth. I'm staying with you. Or then if I'm in Sydney, I'm staying with friends in Sydney, and also I save a lot of money, so I organize like holidays. I part of, if I needed a place to stay, just holiday. I put all my stuff in a taxi box.
Yeah.
And I just one suitcase and one backpack, and a change of season, I will go to my taxi box and get the winter stuff, and then
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to tie up the sleep stuff, and then I'm going to ask you about 10,000 questions. Otherwise, I'm going to go all over the place. So you discovered, reading books at what stage?
Mid-30s.
Mid-30s. And that was you said you did it with your previous wife. So what got you?
Yeah, after the divorce.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Now I'm following. And that,
So,
okay.
So imagine being divorced, traveling, depressed, not sleeping well, being in my head all day.
Yeah, of course.
So I found reading was fun.
What a healthy habit.
Yeah.
Because you can go as deep as you want. Divorce, the most stressful thing in the world, apparently.
It is.
Yeah, and there's a lot of internal dialogue, like what could I have done? What did I do wrong? Who am I as a man? All of that, all normal. And that's actually healthy to have to ask yourself those questions as well.
We were together for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you had quite the journey as well. I won't focus on her, I'll focus on your journey. But, as you said, you moved to Adelaide, you immigrated from Venezuela. There's a lot of, habits have been formed. So now you're making a massive change. So what did that process of rebuilding? You developed that healthy habit of, reading, getting out of your mind. What else did you do?
Oh, therapy.
Yep.
A lot of therapy and started taking medication, a lot of trying to understand. It's like for me it was firstly like a death.
Yep.
Like a proper mourning of not just the relationship, but everything that comes with it, like the plans, the future, the everything.
Yep.
And also my identity. I identify a lot as being a married guy because since we were in uni, we were together.
Oh, wow.
So 16 years together, and my entire life I was with someone. And like the first time I traveled on my own was after the divorce.
Wow.
Because we traveled since we were, very young in uni. So to other countries, etc. So it was very rough beginning, and it's you have to find yourself, your own identity. So my first trip was to Japan. Never been there, and it was a thing that we always wanted to go to Japan. And then I went, well, this is gonna be my story.
Yep.
I'm the one who's going to Japan first, so I'm gonna claim it first.
Yep.
So that's how I felt. So, and then so many things happened in that trip. I made a friend who's like I still keep in touch with. I've been to Japan 4 times. Every time I go to Japan, I see him, and we keep in touch on WhatsApp. And
cool.
And Colombian guy. The night we met, we got very drunk. Long story, but he ends up going like, man, I don't know you, but I think whatever you did, whatever happened, you did nothing wrong. Like he knew that I was broken.
That's very powerful from a stranger.
Yes. No. And it keeps, the gift that keeps on giving. Before we said goodbye, he was like, man, I know you're here in Japan. You're doing this trip because you're being born again. And just like and I started crying. I was so drunk, I started crying straight away. And every time there's a birth in nature, something breaks and there is pain.
That's so good.
Oh man, what a philosopher. And
he could be your hero. He can be the Mr. Miyagi.
Yes, he was my Mr. Miyagi at that moment. Absolutely. He was pretty much like when he was telling Daniel-san, if you are on one side of the road, life is like being a grape. Like if you're on the...
I know what you're saying.
Squish the grape.
Yeah.
So you do it or you don't. Never in the middle. So it's like embrace yourself to the pain and just go. And this is normal. And in hindsight, everything has been amazing. And I had to learn how to be a bachelor because I never was one.
It's hard.
And being a bachelor in your 30s is difficult because
I'm just thinking one of my friends is in his 30s and he uses a different type of hard to use. Sorry, I'm from the moment. He has an Excel spreadsheet trying to track all of his dates and all the girls. And I'm like, you've got a very different definition of hard to me. But
that's not easy, by the way.
No, I agree. Like even speaking to two people and trying to getting things mixed up.
There's a lot of conflict there. Yeah. There's a lot of conflict when you're like in your 20s. That it's a lot easier, and I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be as crazy as I would have been in my 20s.
Yeah.
And but then you learn quicker. I learned quicker.
Nice.
Because aging and
wisdom.
So,
Yep.
yeah. The story can keep going, but it's
no, I want to hear about, because I'm always fascinated by, like the everyday heroes. It might be the wrong way of saying it. When you meet someone and they meet you where you're at in the moment and the wisdom that they lay on you, and it's just so profound it sticks with you. We all have people like that, and we've probably been like that to someone else.
Yeah.
And so you meet this gentleman in Japan, and it's pretty transformative, and it really,
very much.
Yeah, I love those stories. I think that's actually one of the ways we change the world. You don't need to change the world by getting into politics and all the stuff like that. It's the small actions that lead to large actions.
Yeah.
So tell me more. I'm invested.
Well, it made such an impact on me that I did a show called Matador. So that show, my first serious relationship in my bachelor days, that one also hurt really badly. Like the breakup, it's like again, and it's like following a template. Like it's so common. Like after the big breakup, there's a relationship, and the relationship was wrong, and then you feel even worse.
Yep.
And then deciding to go on a trip, that's eat, pray, love. It's a thing. Like I don't know why you think about going on a trip. So my trip was to Japan because I thought, okay, what I just said about claiming Japan first, but also it's a safe place for a tourist.
Yep.
And they're very. I have Japanese friends, and I know that they wouldn't get involved in your personal life or emotions. So I wanted to go to a place where I could cry.
Yep.
And just in a bar or walking, and nobody will
judge
me or approach me and ask me why I'm crying.
Yeah, I like this.
So I wanted to go to Japan and cry. So when I did that show Matador, that thing about the pain and being birthed somehow came back when I was writing that show, because it reminded me when I was a kid, and my grandpa used to take me to see the bullfights. And now after growing up, I was like, that was wrong. Like I didn't see it as a wrong thing. I saw it as a thing that part of my family, my grandpa loves it. It's culture, whatever.
Seen as heroes, the bullfighters as well.
Yeah, they've got a sword.
Yeah,
they've got a sword. They've got a cape, and they've got a very tight pants where you can see the big balls. And it's fighting a black thing with horns.
Yeah,
it's just a typical
powerful monster that is, way overpowered.
Yeah, but as a grown up, I started researching about that, and I found Federico Garcia Lorca, which is a very famous Spanish poet.
Yep.
And he has a theory of the duende. The duende can be translated in English, just the word, literally, not the concept, as in like leprechaun or elf, like a little...
Like a fantasy...
Mythical,
okay.
But the real concept behind this... duende, it's a saying in the south of Spain where there's flamenco and the Gitanos, the gypsies in Spain, are a mix of Spanish and African and Moroccan, and then the traveling, the wandering people that had to go from Africa through Europe, and they didn't have a home, and they were constantly traveling, and there's that pain of not having a place where you set your roots.
Yep.
And it describes the theory of the duende. It describes a singer that is singing flamenco. And flamenco is very dramatic and full of emotion.
I've seen a few.
And he describes how the duende is where the flamenco, the Spanish, gets the inspiration from. And there's a difference between, he calls it the angel, the muse, and the duende. The angel is Italians.
Yep.
The muse is French, and duende is Spain. I remember he says, the muse is something outside of you that is so beautiful that inspires you to create. The angel is something that it comes from heaven, that is something that you cannot touch, that comes from above and gives you that power to create. And the duende comes from inside of you. And when the duende shows up, there is pain and there is blood. It's that moment of being very close to death that makes you create in order to survive.
Wow.
And that's why bullfighting is a ludicrous, extremely crazy way of forcing yourself to get the duende out of you.
Interesting.
Because it's very hard to do it, but if you put aside the animal cruelty, which is 100%, and I don't support it, if you take that aside, it's a beautiful dance. When the matador is doing the thing, it's being extremely creative to save his life. And I have seen duende in stand-up comedy. I have seen comedians, and this happens just a few times. It's very hard to see it, and I wish everybody once in their lifetimes can see the moment where the comedian is dying in their ass in a horrendous way, and then just trying out of desperation to be funny and clicks with the audience, and then it goes from zero laugh to a standing ovation.
Transmuting just like that.
I've seen it a couple of times.
Wow. Is it like a magic? Can you feel it? Like, how do you just...
You can feel it. You can feel the guy dying. Everybody can feel it.
It's like, oh no.
when you're watching, when you're in a stand-up, in a comedy club or a comedy night, you see the comedians not engaging. The jokes are terrible. They're not even funny, and you feel that for the person that is on stage. Mm. But sometimes the great ones will find that moment to create and not even do written material. It's like, let's do something to make these people laugh, and they start saying things, and they start connecting with the audience or doing some crowd work. I don't do crowd work, so I try not to. And then people will start laughing, and then from that it will be an amazing killing night. I've seen it a couple of times.
Have you experienced that?
No, because
you never bomb. That's why.
I bomb on new material nights.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that does it.
But if I write my jokes and I work on them a lot, and I try. My theory is jokes have to be so good that if you're not in a good place to perform them, they will do the work for you.
Oh, so even on the worst days, it's still going to do okay because you've perfected it. You put in.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting.
That's why I'm enjoying this year's show, because these are my favorite jokes. The show's called All Bangers No Mash, so I know it's going to be great.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me is like, maybe the audience don't want to hear repeated jokes, because every year I always bring a new show.
Yeah. But
so far, I've done a live Fringe, and I actually ask for requests, and people yell requests.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's exciting because, it's
so
an
exciting.
audience, that brand loyalty, that people know your stuff. And that's and also they remember, because it's one thing for someone to go, Ivan, he's that funny comedian, but I remember his bit. That's a high elevation.
And it's so fulfilling and so much satisfaction out of it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to see people that they remember, And they remember, I did a show, the LA Fringe Festival for just 1 week, from Tuesday to Sunday, 6 days. And every night I had like a weird, obscure request of a joke that I even considered to be good.
You didn't consider it to be good.
To be worthy of that show.
Yep.
And the joke is back and people laugh.
So did that help you form the show, or you already, like, you got your whole bag? Is it?
Well, still, sometimes when they do that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna continue, but in the back of my brain, I will just reminding myself how that joke go.
Yeah.
And then I do this. It's a great memory exercise.
I can imagine, because you've been doing this for so long as well. I want to get back into your show because I've also got 100 questions, but you're too smart for me. So the Wise Man in Japan, the show about the bullfighting, what was kind of the conclusion with, you insinuate making meaning?
Sorry for taking all.
No.
All the.
This is Barney.
All the tangents. Hello, Barney. How you doing, buddy? Well, in that joke, I wrote about the duende. I wrote a poem about the duende.
I could tell you literally said it like a poet. I was mesmerized. I was so captivated.
I wrote a poem, so I forgot the poem, but I finished the show with the poem. So this is the exercise. I forgot the poem.
That's fine.
It was about don't be afraid when pain is about to come, because it's the duende. And I connected that with what my friend said, because you're being born again.
Yeah.
Because every time there's a birth, something breaks and there is pain. So it's like you have to let that blood in your system. So when Federico Garcia Lorca was talking about the singer, you can tell that she didn't have duende. And then there was a moment where she started connecting with Tony, and then you can taste the blood in her mouth from her broken vocal cords.
Wow.
And sometimes when something's not perfect, but you can feel it, that's the duende.
That's so powerful. And I would also imagine, I love the metaphor of like the phoenix rising again.
Yes.
And so I would imagine, although there's 10 billion emotions, negative emotions you're going through, do you ever look back at that period and go, look what I went through and look what I've learned about myself. I overcame that. I'm working on this. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. 100 every day, I think, because I think big lessons have to be reminded constantly, because we forget.
Yeah. The human experience.
Nobody's perfect. Humans, we're not perfect, and we have to go, always to go back and, I did that, and I was in this situation, I did that, and it worked. Why am I not doing it now? Okay, you fucking idiot.
That's my experience. Yeah.
So yeah, constantly.
And I want to tie that up. So after you finished, you wrote that.
We can go back to, because you like writing and you like heroes. So I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Joseph Campbell.
Yep.
So in his long chats, the power of myth, it's a very long. So connect that with all the rebirth, the phoenix, the duende, whatever it is. It's religion. Every religion or every myth in history has a moment when you change. We're constantly dying and being reborn every time we learn a lesson. Every time something sinks, and then this is what I have to be now. This is who I am now. That's a death and rebirth.
Yep.
Constantly.
But even mentally, I've only experienced that more later in life, where we have an identity or we think we're a certain way, and then it just gets hit by the train, and you completely reshuffle everything mentally. And it shows me that humans are extremely resilient, and that we're actually completely changing. How we are, we're not the same person. We might look the same, but people can't really tell. And the shifts we've made, and that, to me, that's so exciting. Also from a screenwriting perspective, because the arc, the hero's journey, the arc, there's so much I can say about this, but I love that, just that shift of who we once were. And generally, people are always moving towards a forward direction. I know you said you have to remind yourself, and we go like, you're a fucking idiot. But I don't believe you go backwards. You just might have periods where you've kind of forgotten.
A hiccup.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I think great stories. I think the hero's journey, it will never change because it's a pattern. But we are trying. For example, we were talking about Game of Thrones before. I think we're seeing more shows and more movies where it's not just the myth of I learned I'm better now.
Yep.
I like when I see now, I learn I have a hiccup.
Yes.
I learn I have a hiccup. I think that's a lot better for me now.
I agree.
As a story than it's more real than I've learned that's behind me. I'm a better person now. I've got this thing. That's why we hated the last Star Wars, I think, and because I never saw Ren
struggle.
Yeah.
You just became the most powerful rabbi. I mean, Jedi.
Same thing.
I don't even know what I was thinking of that. But you know what I mean? There's this arc, as you said, where the Jedi, like faces Darth Vader and loses his arm. And then there's the struggle there. How's he going to get better? And then this Jedi comes into the most powerful Jedi in the history of the land and just destroys everyone.
With that,
No
nothing.
training, no struggle, or very little struggle.
No dying.
Yeah.
No dying to be reborn.
Yeah.
We need that. We need that. So she got the call to action, and then there was nothing. There was no growth.
Yeah.
And you just said that you like, I don't know if this was recorded, that you liked Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Of course, because you see
They
these
literally
guys,
die 100 times as well.
Yes,
physically.
and they get in a capsule and just with the 10 times gravity so they can train and be better and stronger. And it's all about that effort to become better. And I think...
and they also lose a lot. They don't always win.
Yeah.
And that's what's really exciting because I don't look at life through wins and losses. Sorry for interjecting.
Yeah.
But the learning experience and how they grow from those experiences. Because you're not always going to get the job promotion. You're not always going to sell out 10,000 seats all the time. It's not life. And I love the resilient side. But anyway, continue.
Well, in my case, recently, I'm 45. I said before, Zennial, 1979. I am not social media generation per se.
Yep.
And it's hard for me as a comedian to die symbolically as a technology hater person.
Yeah.
And to accept and adapt into and be reborn as a person who posts stuff on social media, because I know now that that's the way of selling tickets.
Yep.
It's horrendous. It took me years to accept this. It was a slow death.
Yep.
Until the point where I opened for 2 American comedians who came to Australia and they were selling out big theaters, and I was like, who are these people? These are not the common...
Got like the big names.
Yeah, these are not people I've seen on the telly. These are not people I've seen on Saturday Night Live. Who are these people? Why are they from? They come to this country. They take our.
Still our comedy.
They still are audiences, and then they were great at social media and promoting themselves and putting a lot of content, and that's I don't think I think in the past you wanted to be really good at comedy, and then just so you can get a job on the telly, and then you can be. But that you don't need the telly.
Yep.
You are your own network. That's why it's called social networks.
It's very interesting. There's 100 things that go there because the Australian model, and you've been on the Gala so many times. If you're on the Gala, generally you're going to do quite well. Your style of comedy is hilarious, and I'm not just saying that, but it's like. It's for everyone. A lot of like comedy it's not for everyone. I think everyone can enjoy your comedy. And then you see certain people, and I know you're saying that they're funny, but you see certain people that blow up on social media and they might not be that good of a comedian. Like they're okay, but they haven't done those 10 years, put in all the work.
Yep.
Not that you really care about that. And then they're just destroying, they're just dominating because they're doing so well on social media. Whereas the model that you went through was very different. It's like put in, I know we'll get into your journey in a bit, but put in all those hours, the struggles, the the bombs, I know when you were hustling from Adelaide, you had to like put up your own expenses and travel everywhere.
Yeah.
And now that there's been a huge shift where TV's not nearly as important, those avenues have changed. And I'm sure, you know, we've been talking about identity. That identity of like who I am as a comedian would also be kind of shifted a little bit. So can you tell me a bit more about that and why you actually have been accepting social media as well?
Well, before accepting it, there was this fear that every comedian from my generation and before has of burning material.
Yep.
Because we know we got to where we are because of good jokes.
Yep.
And we work on writing the jokes. And then you see comedians on social media that just posting crowd work. And just it's a 20-second video or a 10-second video of a very particular moment where the crowd work worked. And that's it.
Yep.
And it's great for content. I know people will scroll on Instagram and just follow you. And then, but there's no, when I don't do crowd work because I believe that audience pay for a ticket just to sit down, watch, and laugh.
Yep.
They don't they didn't pay to see if this is gonna work or not.
Interesting.
So I think if I'm gonna use a lot of crowd work, as when I see comedians just starting with a lot of crowd work and then 20 minutes of the show is crowd work, not every minute is good.
Correct.
And the audience doesn't deserve that.
So you're an artist in its purest form. You're there. You've crafted these jokes, spent so many hours. You want to give the best experience for the audience.
You don't have to do the work. You just stay there and relax. I don't want to make you work to give me good information so I can make the rest of the audience laugh at the expense of you talking to me.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. So I that's why I don't do crowd work. And I know there's people, the crowd work is another art form, and there's people who are very good at it.
Like Matt Rife, I don't know if you follow him.
No, I don't follow him.
He's meant to be like the crowd work guy, and I have never actually seen his actual stand-up. I don't even know if it's good. I'm sure it's good, but he is selling out shows all around the world because his crowd work is phenomenal. Yeah. And it's like a completely different, game. He's a lot younger.
Yeah.
I'm shocked by, he's probably got a few million across all platforms as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just doing crowd work, which is very different to the more traditional model of stand-up.
And probably the younger audience want that. But
I have no idea, but
I don't know. But I know when a joke is a good joke, everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
And also, I don't do crowd work because of language. So when I started doing comedy in English, I don't have the speed to find a word that I'm looking for in English.
You're pretty quick. Like, I know you...
Now?
Yeah.
After 13 years in Australia.
Yeah, but like your English is obviously perfect and you're very quick thinking in how you come up with stuff. Like you could, I'm not saying change your comedy, but I'm saying you could, but I know at the start, obviously, and we'll get into that as well. But
like, for example, forgetting the genre of the books that I read, forgetting the word, like that happens a lot, not just with something particular. Like sometimes I'm figuring something out and then, what is that?
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I was trying new material, and I was looking for the word seduce, and it's there, but I couldn't find it, and I was like wooing, arouse, and I was like seduce is the better word.
Yep.
And then what is that word? And I had to ask the audience, and then someone seduce. Yes, thank you. And
people like that as well.
Yeah, they do. They do. But that happens a lot to me.
Yep.
Sometimes I forget words.
Yeah, I do the same, man. So I want to go back to the crowd work. The social media aspect. So how do you kind of balance that out? Because you said you don't want to churn out material. Your material's fantastic, and we'll get into your arc from Venezuela. But I believe that you had a mate, and he said, "I think you should do comedy." And you analyzed jokes with him. You analyzed premise. You went through jokes and you studied it like a scientist and you put it, and not many comedians, so you understand the whole journey. So that's why I'm glad you bring up like the hero's journey as well, because there's a clear like formula as well.
Yeah.
So you are a comedian in its purest form. you know what's going on. You don't like mince your words. When you say something, you put in a lot of work to get to that stage.
Yeah.
So what's the balance? So you with the crowd work aspect. So how do you kind of balance it where you're doing something in your lane that you're dominating in, and then how do you?
Well, I'm sadly I'm not doing that, and I just jump off the cliff and hope for the best, and I'm just putting out there my material, and I'm like burn them to the ground.
So it means you're not going to use it once it's out.
I'm just gonna put them out. Let's see what happens. That's why this year is a big experiment for me.
Yeah.
So I'm putting the material out there, and I'm on top of that doing a show of best of.
Yep.
So there will be those jokes in the show,
Yep.
and I'm like, let's see what happens. Let's see if I drown in debt or if I survive this year. I will tell you at the end of the year if people enjoyed it or not.
It's also very interesting because I've seen some stand-ups where I've seen some of their bits and I don't care whatsoever. I'm like, oh my God, you said that bit and it's been refined and I love it. And then there's some comedians where they do the same material, the exact same material for years, and that doesn't, you haven't like grown and performed. But in your way, I think it's way more unique and more exciting is because it's been like all your best material over years.
Yeah. I actually started the show by saying this was the first joke that worked in Australia.
Oh, nice. And I think that's very rewarding as well to see your growth as well. So I think you've got to really, that's really exciting.
And I'm not telling. I'm from the beginning. I'm telling the audience that this is the best of show, and the show is about that.
Yeah,
the show. This is the first joke that really worked really well. This is the joke that I did. My first big joke on YouTube and the Gala. This is the joke that and
nice
like that. And this is the joke that people remind me the most when they see me on the streets, and I do it like that.
That's exciting, and also
it is beautiful. I love it.
And people will know that these are high quality jokes. So let's go back to actually we'll tie off the social media. So you've decided to embrace social media to a degree, post your jokes, see what happens.
Yep.
That's been a big shift because that is very scary. People don't understand because, as you said, burning material.
Yeah.
These are jokes you've spent so many hours.
Yeah.
So much pain often to get to the joke to the top. That's pretty exciting. Was it a relief like coming? What was the feeling?
Well, it's very scary. Very, very scary.
Yeah.
But I told my manager, so we've been working together for many years, and it was like both of us, he was expecting me, like most managers, to do all the work on social media. And I was like, this is hard for me. Like, I'm actually terrible at technological stuff. I can put an effort and I've done it now, and I know how to edit the video and put subtitles and do the basics, right? And I was like, but we both need to change. Like, I want to do this, but I want someone to post everything. I don't want to have social media on my phone. It's affecting my mental health. I don't want to read comments. I don't want to be accessible for every stranger to say something on my DMs.
Yep.
Like, I don't want that. So and I know that I have the addiction because comedians. I'm lucky to say that I'm a full-time comedian. Therefore, I do nothing all day, but thinking about stuff. And it's very hard to do something to be productive when you have nothing to do.
Yep. I resonate with that strongly.
It's when you're busy, you can be more productive because you have to organize and manage your time, and then I'm going to do this from this. Like, but I don't have to manage my day at all. That I can do whatever I want. So it's so easy to get on the couch, look at your phone. 3 hours later, what happened?
Sure.
And I don't have social media on my phone. All the videos have you seen for the last 6 months, I have edited them. I have done everything. I give them to my manager. He's the one posting everything.
I love that.
Yeah. Because
I
we both need to sell tickets.
yeah,
And
the
that's
relationship.
what we're doing now. We're both working on it.
But also, it's a very brave decision as well, because as a comedian, not only being on social media, you can maybe get material, even though it's probably like a very small amount. But it's still kind of scary to say, like, delete. I don't want that app.
Yeah.
I think that you're inspiring me because I want to make the videos, but I don't like the posting and doing the hashtags and the
Yeah.
when do I upload, or I needed to get a guest to collaborate if they want to, and all of that stuff. And then that you talked about negative comments, all of that stuff. I just want to post and kind of ghost, but I don't ever want to do the posting. I want someone else to do that. But there's so much mental energy that goes into it.
Yeah.
And that can, for me, take away from the creative process and also the enjoyments as well. So it's actually really clever that you came up with kind of that working arrangement.
I'm still struggling with YouTube Shorts.
Yep.
Because damn, man, I'm spending. At least will be more educating videos than what I see on Instagram.
Yep.
But I can still spend a couple hours on YouTube, and I know my mental health is affected. I totally feel it. Like I'm cranky the days that I've been on the phone for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Cranky at the end of the night, and I'm jumpy and saying things in an ugly way to my wife, and I know it's just because I'm inside of me, and it's like that addict going on a what do you call it when you
From like
when you stop taking it,
in the withdrawals.
going with withdrawals, and then I've been 3 hours on the phone, and now I don't have that anymore.
So what's the difference between from the social medias? If I'm like looking at a screen for too long, I get fatigued also in my eyes, not my head, my eyes. And I definitely am lowered. I feel like I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not as energetic and uplifted.
Yeah.
And so from the phone calls, is it just like being around the technology? Because the phone call to me is a different beast.
Did I say phone call?
Yeah. Oh, maybe I misheard.
No, I
So when
didn't.
you're on the phone.
No. When I say on the phone, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
On the screen.
Yeah. Gotcha,
looking at the
gotcha,
screen.
gotcha.
Sorry. Not a phone
No,
call.
no,
Sorry. Not about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bad for me. Like, it's dangerous. It is an addiction. It is something like, if it's affecting, your productivity, your health, your relationship with others, you consider that what you're doing.
Yeah, you've spelled it out very clearly to me. I've definitely got also an issue with it.
Yeah, so it's not just, and for my manager, when you do it for someone else, it's not addictive because it's work.
So that's really interesting. You're like, hey, can you post these photos of my wife and kids, and then you can do the comedy and switch it up.
Yeah,
and to come to that conclusion as well, like as I said, it's scary to delete social media. Was there like a turning point also to have the conversation with the manager as well? Because the manager can just say, "No, this is my lane," but to also challenge your manager, obviously you've got a good relationship, and say we both need to change.
Yeah, I think it wasn't. I think it took us a couple of years to accept that we had to do something.
Yeah,
and I wasn't editing videos. I wasn't giving him content. Nothing.
yeah,
That was my part of the. And I get it. Like, he was like, "I can help you with this, but I cannot do everything." And also, I don't like when I edit my clips. I wrote the jokes. If I'm bringing a joke from 3 minutes to 1 minute, I'm the one who's supposed to be editing it the way I like it.
yes,
And which is a beautiful thing, also as a comedy writer.
Yeah,
Because you go back to a joke that you did 4 years ago, and you're like, "Oh, this bit wasn't necessary."
cool.
Or, "Oh, this joke in this bit, this joke can be first and then the other joke after, and it works a lot better."
Yeah,
So I'm doing self-editing, but in hindsight.
oh, that's really great.
Because I recorded these are 3 shows that I recorded, or 4 shows that I recorded that they're in good quality to put on socials.
Yep.
And it's working really well. Like I in the last 6 months, I gained about 30,000 followers on Instagram.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just by putting two stand-up clips a week.
And from a comedic perspective as well, that's also like livelihood stuff as well. You know, as in selling tickets and people know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good for you.
It's working. A lot of people start for the first time to know me for the first time.
Won't that be awesome for your shows as well? Where you're going to obviously have people who've seen it and some people who haven't seen it, and they just see this comedian who's got the best jokes of their last 10 or so years. That's also going to be pretty...
That would be great.
Yeah, you'll be the king.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud that you did that with social media, because it's
Thank
very
you.
scary for a lot of people, and you know, you're empowering me to make changes as well, and also more on your terms, and realizing that it's not working for you. Sometimes it's scared to say it out loud, but then to actually do action, very...
Because I know that if this wasn't my job, I'll be broken. But if this wasn't my job, I wouldn't be on social media.
Oh.
Because I know it's really bad for me.
Okay.
Like very, very, very bad for me. Like if I want to talk to my friends who live around the world,
Yeah.
WhatsApp.
Yep.
That's it. And something like I've been without the social media on my phone for the last year, like, and it's so cool when I catch up with friends. I tell them, I haven't seen social media. I have no idea where you've been about your life, and they go, "Oh, I bought a dog."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't know that. That's great. Or even all the bad bits, like, oh, my dad died. I'm so sorry. But we have a proper catch up.
And you're and going to the toilet would be a lot quicker for you as well. Yeah, that's very interesting. I recently just got married, and everyone's come up to me and go, "Congratulations on your wedding," and they like know it, like as if some people who weren't even invited. I'm like, that's like a disconnect as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can actually experience it with that, you know, deep connection, as if, yeah, that's really cool. Then I want to go back to Venezuela, and I know we're going to fill in the gaps because we could speak about this for ages, and you've got a very unique story. But I believe there was kind of a culture of joke telling, you know, using other people's jokes, but how do you say it in the best way?
Yeah.
And there's like this pace and, you know, like dance that you're talking about before.
Yeah.
And you meet this guy, I don't remember his name, and he's like, I think you should do stand-up comedy.
Well, good friend. Oh, sorry. That was. We don't say that word here.
Especially for that.
Apologies.
It's more the sorry. It's more you don't need to. We apologize for so much in life that we don't need to. If you punch me in the face, you can say sorry, but you don't need to apologize for accidentally knocking something.
That's so true.
Yeah.
His name is Cesar, like
Yep.
Caesar.
Caesar.
We say Cesar in Spanish.
Yep.
Good friend of mine. One of my this is my top list.
Oh, tier one.
Yeah. He's a musician, and he lived in Boston. He studied in Berkeley, and he's always been very funny. In fact, when he started performing as a musician, he became part of a very funny musical band in Venezuela, and he was the underage kid. He was so good, they had to keep him. So he built a sense of for humor and making audience laugh very early, and then he went to study music, and because he enjoyed comedy, he started going to the clubs in Boston. I remember he told me there was a very famous, I don't know if it's still there, but it's like a Chinese restaurant that has a comedy club on the second floor.
Yeah, I think I've heard about this. Yeah.
So he used to go there and just watch comedy. And when stand-up comedy started happening in Venezuela at the format that we know, he knows that I could tell jokes and had a natural, according to him, a natural cadence and musicality when I tell jokes. He was like, finally we have some stand-up happening in Venezuela, and we have there's an open mic. We should do it.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? Like Seinfeld? I'm like, yeah, like Seinfeld. Like that.
Yeah.
I was like, but I don't know how to do it, because I genuinely thought that funny people on the telly whether it's in Venezuelan sketch TV shows or American stand-up, because I've been in Venezuela. There was much influence from UK stand-up and European or Australian stand-up. There was no, just American.
Yep.
And he that was a fart, by the way.
You throw me under the bus. That was a sneeze and I blew my nose. How good would that have been?
With a fart that sounds like that. It's, like, it's my dog's fart because he swallowed
Oh, what's that smell? It was you.
He swallowed a balloon.
Yeah.
Okay, where was I? So I thought there was very smart people who can say funny things on the go. I didn't know about joke writing. I didn't know about zero.
Most people do think they just get up on stage, but yeah.
And because this friend knew about that, he was like, no. He explained the whole thing to me, and he researched where to do the comedy and said, if you want to do it, let's do it together. So I follow every step he said, because he likes method and structure. And we worked so hard, and I loved it. It was like a hobby that I've never enjoyed a hobby like that. Like I was like watching stand-up and transcribing stand-up routines and underlining where the punchline was, underlining the premise. If the premise was clear and a different color, if the premise was a thing that people knew that you don't have to say, just write in a different color outside the piece of paper, like on outside the paragraph. So this is the premise. So this is where I was good at telling jokes. I won competitions in Venezuela telling jokes. I used to memorize so many jokes, and I started seeing the similarities in the stand-up structure.
Yep.
Like, for example, when you tell this drunk guy da 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 da, you don't have to say the premise. I figured that out because everybody knows the premise of the behavior of drunk people.
Gotcha.
And racist jokes like an Irish guy says this, and then the premise about the Irish, the stereotype is there. You don't have to explain it.
Yep.
An old lady, the premises are there. You know how old ladies behave, think, talk.
So as in you can just be the old lady, not explain that there's an old lady. Get straight to
You don't have to say the premise. Old ladies are very forgetful.
Yep.
You don't have to say that. That's a premise.
Yep.
You just go, an old lady was talking to her da-da-da and da-da-da, and then she does something where she forgets.
Because it's,
And that's what I figured out. I call it the collective premise. I call that the collective premise, because it's a premise that everybody has that you don't have to say.
Yep. General understanding, yeah.
For example, Trump, and you do a Trump joke, you don't have to explain how Trump is, because everybody knows.
Yeah.
And those are the when you in my brain I say these are the pointing out jokes. These are observations outside you. And then when the premise is a bit obscure because of the way you think things are, or this is an angle that you've seen about something, and it might be unique.
Yep.
That's when you have to say the premise.
Yep.
So be very clear about it.
That's really interesting that, from just like, as I said,
and we studied and we had these conversations for a couple of years. And before the first time we did stand-up, I think it was after 4 months of writing and figuring out how to write a joke and watching the best available stuff on YouTube and doing that thing. Because this is a premise, this is the punchline, this is how the punchline is different from... It explains the premise in a surprising way. And then I watch videos of Chris Rock. You know that talking comedy, which is Chris Rock, Seinfeld, and Louis C.K. and
like that round, like
and Ricky Gervais
around the table. Yeah.
There's a moment where Chris Rock goes, "It's all about the premise," and I'm like, "Great! If Chris Rock says this, this is it. And he explains, like many times young comedians say, I think there's a part, I think it's in the minute 20 something.
You watched it that many times.
He says sometimes when young comedians, the joke doesn't work, it's usually the premise that is not clear for the joke to work. Because the premise is the if you think something's funny, with the premise, you're telling the audience a point of view to see life through your eyes. And then once they start seeing life through your eyes, they're going to laugh with you.
Interesting.
If you think something's funny. So you can be the weirdest guy, the most strange human being. But if you get the audience to see the life through your eyes, they'll become you and laugh with you.
I love this. First of all, I heard ages ago you were maybe writing a screenplay, but you have the perfect, because of all the work that you've done, you'd be very good at screenwriting, even just analyzing jokes, either being in this, you'd be like the guy they call which I can't do, so I'm jealous. They punch up jokes because they can do it, and you would be able to just see it. Like when you watch TV shows, do you apply the same lens as well? Yeah. Do you do screenwriting?
I did that little project that it was on ABC iView for a while, ages ago. That was my first experience screenwriting with my manager as well, because he does a lot of screenwriting.
Ah,
yeah, for comedy.
Yeah, but that's
and
pretty
then I
interesting.
have friends like Sami Shah, who is wrote like 4 books.
Yeah, he's been on. He's very interesting guy.
And I think a stand-up writer, it knows the basics for sitcom.
Yeah.
Because it's about, you're trimming a lot. You have to trim the fat. What is unnecessary? What is unnecessary? What is not? It's straight into, and because you want that rhythm. And I like to see the classics like Cheers, where some jokes are outdated, but it's still amazing to see the amount of
like jokes per page as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, bam, 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 bam.
And it's so if the situation is not clear enough, you cannot write that many jokes for it.
Interesting. So this is what I find so interesting. This new wave of comedy, and I believe your dictator at the time kind of banned comedy.
Yeah.
There was a major major TV station just cut it, and that's where all the comedians were there. So there was this energy, or not this energy. There was this you needed comedy because it sounded like it was.
So he didn't ban comedy. He closed a TV station that wasn't according to his ideals.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I didn't close it. I just didn't renew the concession.
Yeah, it's like I wasn't fired, but I wasn't offered another contract. Yeah.
And did the same thing with a lot of radio stations.
Yeah.
So we had an amazing sketch show. It was the longest running TV show in Venezuela at the time. It was like the TV station was 40-something years old, and the TV show was like 30-something years old. Like it's like Saturday Night Live. They just had like, was it the 50th anniversary or 40th anniversary? 50th anniversary. It was something like Saturday Night Live, but it wasn't live. It's just a sketch show, right?
Yeah. But everyone's watching it. It's on the same time. Everyone knows who it is and who the people are.
Yeah, and the comedians who have their solo shows come from that show.
Nice. Yeah.
You want to see them live, you see them,
Yeah.
So that happened, and also radio stations were closed. And this guy Venezuelan comedians and audiences, I think we owe a lot to him. His name he's got an American name, but he's not. He's George Harris.
Yep.
He used to live in Spain, and in Spain they call it monologues, comedic monologues, which is stand-up.
Yep.
Monólogos de comedia. He did that in Spain, and then came back to Venezuela, and he was like, there's no open mics here. There's no stand-up for the normal person to try out if they want to be comedians.
Yeah.
And he was the first one to do it.
It's crazy how everyone, and I know you've mentioned him before, but that one person.
Yeah,
what an impact he had.
And he's extremely successful today in terms of money and followers, and I and he deserves every single penny. Like, I have never seen someone working so hard into something that out of nothing, because it didn't exist in Venezuela.
Yeah. And so, have you met him?
Oh yeah. I haven't seen him in a long time, but I still consider him a friend. I did his comedy night many times when I started.
So you joined this new wave with your friend as well. You start to grow really quickly as well. You get a radio gig. You're starting to do really well. I'm just going to skim it because there's so much to cover, and you just fill in the gaps. And you're really rising up as a comedian. Meanwhile, you had your master's in, was it food biology? You did food biology before, so you were a well-rounded guy.
Food technology, and I was working in a brewery.
Yeah, so
as a brewer, yeah,
which is crazy. And then life in Venezuela, from what I've heard from you, very difficult.
Yep.
I think you were, and you can go as deep as you want. You were held up at gunpoint, and that was the catalyst to move. Have I missed anything?
Well, it wasn't the catalyst. It was a big reason. Yep. It wasn't the catalyst. The catalyst was when worse stuff started happening to other people in my circle.
Yep.
Like people getting inside a house when there's your friends are in there, and then one of your friends is pregnant, and it's terrible.
Yeah, that sounds very like South Africa.
Yeah, so it's when it's starting to be like that, it's like, this is unlivable. And when you can't sleep, like
you're in fight or flight all the time.
Yeah, if your girlfriend at the time is going to her place, like,
you're worried.
Give me a call if you arrive, like, when you're inside the house, because I know and that's with everybody, not just your girlfriend. Like, your mom will be like that with you, and then your brothers, and then your dad, and everybody's worried.
Yeah.
Like, I have another friend who did a joke. So with Caesar and I started together, and then and another friend came, and we did a little showcase of 3 comedians. Once we knew how to do it, when we toured the country, just a show, and he used to have this joke saying that when in Venezuela you're having a meeting with your family, like a barbecue at the back, like, and if you're running out of ice or sodas or beers, you send the poorest uncle. You cannot send the rich uncle.
Yeah.
Because it will be more likely for him to be kidnapped than your poorest uncle.
Yeah. I thought you were going a different direction. I love that. Yeah. Like, that's hilarious.
It's the guy who is worth the least in your family that gets
that ransom's too small. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that tells a lot about the country.
Yeah. It sounds like very similar to South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure that was a big moment in life, but you were one of the only ones to move, I believe. So why did other people not leave?
Well, I was the first, but then the other two, Cesar and Bobby, and also George Harris moved. So George Harris, it's in the States, but he's touring the world with Venezuelan audiences.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but there's enough Venezuelans in other countries to fill big stadiums, like Mexico, Chile.
What's the population of Venezuela?
It's similar to Australia.
Okay. But I imagine a lot of people have...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bobby, which is the guy about the joke about the ransom, he lives in Mexico.
Yep.
And my friend Cesar lives in the States as well, and he has a really good YouTube channel on music.
Ah.
Yeah, very good. Because he's like a teacher, like a professor, and it's called musical tastings. Cata musical. Cata means to taste the wine, and and smell and taste. And the CATAR is the infinitive. Catar, to taste and smell and do a profile of a sensory profile of a food. It's the
Yeah.
catar.
Yeah.
So, and so it's like cata musical, and he's doing great stuff, and didn't continue with stand up because stand up it's difficult. It's difficult to start again in where you don't know if you're doing it in Spanish or in English, especially in America. Like, I don't think I would have gone where I would have accomplished what I've had in the time that I've done it in Australia if I was in America, because there's so much more competition, and
Yeah.
it's a lot harder to be seen.
Oh, interesting. So it's a bigger pond, but here it's a smaller pond.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's obvious, but
yeah.
but in terms of rising up, you found that a lot easier.
Of course, because in Australia, the community, the comedy community is beautiful. Everybody supports each other, and I think we all know, maybe in a non-conscious way, but we all know that we're in our own journey, and there's not that horrendous competition. There's always competition,
Yeah.
but it's not about, oh, this guy did that and not me. No, it makes sense when someone does something. You go, yeah, they have this and I don't have it.
I still think you're unique. I know earlier on there was a lot of jealousy and comparison, or maybe you just surround yourself with people that, you know, you're all at a high level and you're like, you know what, I didn't get it, but that person's also really good. That's probably, you probably surround yourself in a higher consciousness group as well.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I like to think that. But what I'm trying to say is, like, when you're seen by other comedians in Australia,
Yep.
they will vouch for you if you're good.
Yep.
Always. Like,
Yep.
if you're not good, they will say, not yet. I think if I would have been in America, that would have been a lot harder.
Yeah. Also from a community perspective as well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because if I go, okay, I have my 15 minutes. I'm being a support act in my local comedy club. Now I'm going to travel around the country to do my opening act, like my 5-6 minutes. Okay.
Yep.
So, you do that. If your peers think you're good, they will promote you to, okay, you can do 15 minutes now, be a support act. And then you start making some money, and then now you can be a headliner, of course. So you can, and then I need work. Can I work on cruise ships? Oh, I'll get you in touch with my friends because you'll be great. Like this, there's no. I haven't felt that. In Australia. It's very.
As in, you haven't felt the negatives and the jealousy.
No.
Yeah. Well, good for you. And that's also credit to you as well, because I've heard from a lot of comedians that there is a lot of
That they
jealousy.
hate me.
No, nothing to do with you. But if you don't, like, you kind of like show a mirror. If you come from just, you know, like love and authenticity, then the people you surround yourself with will hopefully also also like show that as well. Whereas if you yourself were a very jealous person, you probably wouldn't have those experiences. So I think that's credit to you. We'll see how we can get there. But, you know, you then move, I think it's a courageous decision to move to Australia, and English is not your first language. You were doing well in Venezuela, and now you kind of have to start from, inverted commas, the beginning. Obviously, your style is still there, but English is a challenging language. And then you decide to learn, you improve your English. Look, I'm just talking about improving English. I can't even speak English myself. And then within 4 to 6 months, you win a comedy award, which blows my mind. Like, what was the type of dedication and the hustle? And
Well, it was a comedy competition. It was $500 cash in an envelope. It was great.
And especially at that time.
It's a validation
Yep.
that I can do this. Comedy in a second language. So the thing that I knew already, it's references, right? Like, if people don't know what you're talking about, they're not going to laugh.
Yep.
Because they don't know what you're talking about. Easy.
Yep.
In hindsight, I mean, many years later, I found something else. Because every time people ask me, so what's the difference between comedy in different language? My answer will be, you just need to, if you know the language, the only obstacle is the references. And then I added something extra through the years, which is the values. of your audience.
Smart.
And I figured this out. My brother lives in Qatar, and the first time I went to visit my brother, I was like, "That'd be cool to do comedy in a different country, different culture, etc. Just for fun." I was looking for an open mic.
Yep.
Nothing. I wasn't looking for work or money. Nothing. And I found online this group of expats. They organize a comedy night, but I think it's once a month or once every 2 months.
Yeah.
And I send them a message. I'm going to visit my brother. I'm a professional comedian. I just want to do 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, they saw my videos and they was like, oh, this love to have you, but we're not going to do any shows while you're here. Let us know next time you come.
Yeah.
And then they said, so next time you come here, this is, I think they call it PG. It was a specific classification of censorship.
Yep.
And the description was no jokes about religion, no jokes about difference between men and women, no sexual stuff, no swearing, no mentioning alcohol, no.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's like a lot.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking a lot. It got me thinking like, this is not just the references.
Yeah.
Let's say I don't know. Let's say if you have a specific religion, whatever. If I'm and that thing is big part of your values.
Yeah.
It can be the funniest joke, but if you feel offended because it's one of your priority values, it could be if it's a value but not that much. You can, if comedy is higher.
Yeah.
But you won't laugh. It could be an amazing joke, but if it's going against your values, you won't laugh. Like, let's say, let's go to the extreme. If I see a comedian doing a joke about pedophilia, I go, that's not funny.
Yep.
Even if I see the joke with my comedy brain, I go, I understand, but that doesn't tickle me because this is a very serious thing.
Yeah.
I brought the example to explain the thing about values. So in Venezuela, there was a lot of, and I said them because I grew up in that environment and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I did a lot of misogynistic jokes that I didn't know they were misogynistic at the moment because I was what everybody was laughing about.
Yeah. Well, different times.
And
values, different.
And some classist jokes that I didn't know. Right? Then I get to Australia, and in the environment where I moved, the values are different. And I learn after I've been here for 13 years. It's been a great, amazing learning experience about equality and empathy. Just that.
Yeah.
Just that.
Yeah.
Empathy.
Yeah.
And I started resonating with those values. And I really enjoyed those values. And it made me go back and was like, fuck, these jokes were actually insulting for this community. And these jokes were insulting for that community. And I didn't know that because that was the everyday thing in Venezuela. So if I said exactly the same jokes in Australia, the audience wouldn't laugh. And it's not because of the references, it's because of the values.
That's so interesting. It's sort of what you were saying before, but there was one comedian and I was the only one laughing because my comedy brain, I can laugh about anything.
Yep.
Nothing offends me from a comedic perspective. And someone was making jokes and he had cancer, making jokes about cancer and dying. And I have a very different relationship with death. It's natural and a lot of people are very scared and don't like talking about death. And I thought this comedian was saying high quality jokes, and no one in the audience was laughing, because it's a very scary topic and cancer, and you can't make jokes about that. And I hear what you're saying, and I've been thinking about that for a long time because these are great jokes.
Yeah,
but it just
I think there's a big difference between values and being afraid to laugh because you don't want people.
That is definitely a factor.
There is a
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah. I did see, actually, on your point, people looking left to right to see if it was okay to laugh. Like, just, it's a comedy club. Yeah.
Anthony Jeselnik,
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah, I saw him recently.
And he does some
Yeah.
weird baby jokes. And I think they're very funny.
Yeah.
And I laugh.
Yeah.
When I meant pedophilia joke is just
Like
very
high, yeah.
yeah, higher than that. There's I don't know. Some values are really your values. Some values are like your values. Like I don't want to be excluded from my group,
Yeah, I understand that.
and that's their problem. That's not my problem anymore as a comedian. And you need to know that every comedian has an audience. Like you cannot have, like musicians have audiences. Like people like metal and people like baroque classic. Like there's different audiences, and jazz and salsa and hip hop. Like how you cannot expect to make every single human to laugh at your jokes.
I think that's a good thing as well.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
You have your audience, people who have similar
You find your
sense of humor. Yeah.
Very interesting. So now you're in Australia, you're learning English, you win that award. That's crazy. When did you think that you'd actually be okay and that you'd be able to support yourself? Because at that stage you were doing working in a brewery and doing various other jobs as well.
When I thought I could support myself, there were signs of validation. So before that $500 award, the first time I did an open mic in English in Australia, in Adelaide, that open mic at the time was a Monday open mic. You need to bring 3 paying guests in order to get on the, because a lot of people wanted to try, and I like that.
To show you're serious?
Sorry?
Well? Is it also a way to show that obviously they're getting money from it and they need people to be in the venue, but is it also a way to show that you're serious because of demand?
I never thought about that, but yes, it shows you're serious. But at the same time, when you try new material, you need an audience. And a lot of people, when they know it's new material and there's amateur comics, they won't go. So, and you can never depend on your peers' reaction, because comedians will laugh at the wrong things. We'd laugh at you.
Yeah.
And
that's so funny.
Never. So one big rule of comedy, I didn't write this rule. But it's around there. Never perform to the back of the room.
Yeah.
Because it will make you a terrible comedian. Like if you need friends, like sadly a lot of people start doing stand-up because they need friends and a group of people, not because they're good at stand-up or they want to do stand-up. They just want to hang out.
Yeah.
Just hang out.
I recommend improv comedy.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah. So that night, at the time, whoever was the best of that night can come back the next week without bringing 3 paying guests.
Yeah.
And on my first time, I got that.
That's crazy.
So there's some validation there.
Yeah.
Then I won that $500. And then when I wrote my first 1 hour show that I won, then I got picked to do the Comedy Zone, which is
After how long from moving to Australia?
So I moved in 2012, and I think Comedy Zone was 2013.
Wow.
So I moved in January 12, 2012.
That's very
So Comedy Zone is a show handpicked. It's a showcase handpicked by the Melbourne Comedy Festival, where they showcase the potential up-and-comers.
Yeah.
Not the up-and-comers. People who, if they keep working, they might be...
Showing a lot of promise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got picked to do that. And then after doing the Comedy Zone, I did my first solo show the year after.
Wow.
And in Adelaide, there's three ladies who... one of them still doing comedy, but the other two, they had this award in Adelaide called the Dave Grant Comedy Grant. Dave Grant used to be a very well loved comedian, and that caused an impact on this three ladies who started doing comedy later in life, and the grant is just a support to produce and pay your first show at the Adelaide Fringe Festival.
Yeah.
So there was already a lot of things happening that were validating that I could make this. And then my ex-wife, and I'm forever grateful, we negotiated that I quit my job so I can do traveling, being known around Australia. So I quit my good paid job, but I stayed working in a restaurant, in a kitchen, whenever I was in Adelaide.
Yep.
And I was also very grateful to these guys who didn't care that I wasn't there available.
But you also
all the time.
hated working in a restaurant as well.
So much.
Yeah.
So when I started moving around and now getting the
The validation.
validation from other comics that were in the scene for way longer than I have, and they recommended me and say, if you're going to this city and you want to do this comedy club, say my name. That means a lot, and it's worth a lot in my industry.
Yep.
When someone says that. So you started getting paid gigs, and that's when you go, I think I can do this.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So I quit every job, including the kitchen.
Yep.
And I got my notebook and started to filling paid gigs around the country and started traveling and then just getting as many paid gigs as I could. And then we're here now.
So crazy. We'll have to dive into it further for another chat. But not only moving to another country, you don't know anyone, and then that hustle. You came here to do the food stuff as well, and then obviously like waiting a few months to do a gig would have probably destroyed you as a comedian. But learning the English to perfect it, and then the drive and getting yourself seen, because as I said at the start, there's a lot of expenses involved trying to get yourself out there when you're not making money, and also mental energy as well.
I don't know if you heard, because I know you've done your research that I did that I did some voice coaching.
No.
So
As in you learned from someone teaching you voice, or
Yeah.
you taught?
I've learned.
Yeah.
So that I needed to do that before I did stand up. I needed to know that people understood my accent.
Yep.
Because if they don't understand what you say, no one's gonna laugh. Like nothing. Like so, I knew the language. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get a visa to get here. You have to pass a very difficult test to get your visa.
Okay.
And so I knew the language, and then I did this voice coach sessions, 6 of them, and then
In Australia?
in Australia, in
Yep.
Adelaide. And she used to teach. Maybe she still does. She used to teach train the TV anchors reading the news in Adelaide.
Yep.
And she was like, "Listen, if you want to have like a BBC accent,
Yeah.
you have to stay with me a couple of years. But if you're just concerned that people understand every word you say, you're fine."
Yep.
And just that from an expert gave me a lot of confidence.
I would imagine so, yeah. But, that goes back to the hustle and the
Yeah.
drive. And has your voice changed a lot?
I think so, but that's part of when I used to do comedy in Venezuela. I did a lot of accents and impressions, and I have, as my friend Cesar says, that my friend who is a musician, he says that I have a lot of musicality. Like my musical ear is good, so I naturally try to mimic to be understood. Like, for example, words that were difficult at the beginning, to sound like an Australian, like not difficult to say, but to sound like an Australian, was dollars. Because from a Spanish brain, you say dollars, and if you're in America, you'll say dollars.
Yeah.
So I needed a friend to actually tell me that it's like dollars, like with a Z at the end, and there's no L. It's like a DOLZ, dollars.
Yeah, no, it's very specific.
So I'm like, why can't I say the way I say dollars.
Yeah.
dollars. And I practice dollars.
That's so crazy. It's so interesting to me because, you know, it's very hard being a stand-up comedian, but then that drive and that enthusiasm of, you know, the patience as well. And, you know, you did really well so quickly. I think that's a very unique and, what's the word? Contagious mindset. So I appreciate hearing that as well.
Oh, thank you.
Before we do a rapid fire segment, I just want to tie up your show, All Bangers No Mash. You're touring it around Australia. I think this is coming out at the end of March, just before the Melbourne Comedy Festival, I'll confirm. But, you know, best of, we've spoken about it, and we spoke about how excited you are. How do you find the touring side of going to each, you know, city and traveling?
Well, it reminded me, it's a great, it's a lot of introspective moments, and I enjoy them. Like I used to be a guy who didn't like being alone, and then after, one of the things that I gain and now cherish is the ability to enjoy being alone.
Yes.
And I really like just going for walks and finding a place to eat by myself, and then going to a bookstore, which is great. So buy a book, I love that. I do that a lot when I'm touring.
Cool.
Also, I know I have so many great people that help me so much through the years in Australia that live in different cities. So I always catch up with friends in every city, go for a coffee, and now, you know, see how much grey hair they have now, or how many children they have now. Or both. I have a thing. I love being home. I love my wife's company and my dog. So I think there's a limit for me. No more than 2 weeks away. Yeah. And if there's an opportunity to come, if let's say if I do gigs from a Tuesday to Sunday, and then the next week in a city, and then Tuesday to Sunday another city, or Wednesday to Sunday another city, I will, if possible, I would like to just do Monday, Tuesday back in Melbourne at home, and then go again. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Things have changed, and I really enjoy that. Just going home a little bit just to recharge. There's different types of recharge. There's a recharge that I get just being alone in a hotel room.
Yep. And
there's a different kind of recharge when you're with your loved ones.
I like that.
But I'm very social, but I get socially drained.
We all do, and I like that it's probably one of the hardest things for many people. Very long story short, when I was younger, I couldn't spend a moment with myself. I had to keep myself busy. Yeah. And now I love my company.
Love it.
It's actually so important. You don't need it. Like me and my wife, we get along so well, but we also need just time to like chill and just relax.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's very important. Anything else about All Bangers No Mash? Tickets will be in the episode notes, so people check it out. It's going to be hilarious because it's all of your best stuff as well.
It's selling really well. I've got I opened new. So Canberra sold out very quickly. So there's new dates in Canberra. Now we're doing.
Cameras after the Melbourne Comedy Festival? Anyway, I'll have them.
It's all in ivancomedy.com.au. Also on my Instagram, on the link, you get click on the link, and there's all the CDs.
Cool.
There's that link tree with all the...
Yeah. And I'll also have it in the episode notes so that people don't have an excuse. That's very exciting. Anything else, or people just buy tickets and prepare to laugh your ass off?
That if you're seeing some of my jokes online, they feel different when it's live
with an audience.
And the beauty of this show is that there's new callbacks and new extensions of the jokes, and when you put jokes from different eras together, they generate different callbacks and different opportunities to write new stuff, and then combine two jokes from different eras into an extra punchline. It's beautiful. I love it.
And I hope people are watching the video because you are lighting up and smiling.
Yeah.
That's when you know someone loves their craft. Is on, I'm doing this comedy show. Come, you love it. I love it. It's exciting. Before we wrap up.
The rapid fire, right?
Yeah. Cool. Ready to rumble?
Ready to mambo.
I like that. What's been your special ingredient to work all these years?
To work?
Yep.
Technicalities.
Why did you move from Adelaide to Melbourne?
Just work. I love Adelaide, but there's more opportunities in Melbourne and Sydney for comedians than living in Adelaide.
And what made you pick Melbourne and not Sydney? This is my own personal
Because
bias.
my ex went to Sydney.
Fair enough. Who's the best Australian comedian besides you?
I'm gonna say Kitty Flanagan.
Ooh. What's the weirdest thing Australia does with their food? Like the worst or weirdest dish or something?
Spaghetti and toast.
I haven't seen that.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I don't. Is that an Adelaide thing or?
I know, I've seen it. Oh, Adelaide has also very weird stuff. They got the pie floater, which I like.
What's a pie floater?
A pie floater, in Adelaide they have 24-hour bakeries, which is a game changer in every city in Australia.
Is that just for the drunk people?
I don't know, but there's 4.
Whoa.
So you have 4 places that you know for sure you're going to have some food late at night. It's great.
Interesting.
And for comedians, we love it there because you can eat after a gig. So pie floater is a weird thing. It's they serve you pick your favorite pie, they put it in a bowl, big bowl, looks like a ramen bowl, the size of a ramen bowl. And then they would cover the whole thing with green pea soup.
Green pea soup. That sounds awful.
And then they give you tomato sauce and vinegar if you want. So, and then you get a spoon and you break the pie and you eat it smothered because it's not mushy peas on the pie. It's soup. It's liquid.
You have not sold that very well.
And no, it looks horrendous. But I love the idea of because that idea is there for a reason. So let's make it tasty. So with my friend Suren Jayamana, he loves to cook too. He's a great comedian. I was like, hey, Suren, why don't we do like instead of pea soup, we like dal, which is delicious, like a proper curry dal, and we have like a lamb pie inside, and then we cover it instead of with sauce, we put some raita or some yogurt and mint and.
That sounds a lot better.
So if you imagine you're just breaking a flaky, meaty pie, and around it's just a liquid that is tasty, but it's not a sauce.
Okay.
It's a soup.
You're happy to have it. I'm probably not going to try it.
You got to Google it. And it looks horrendous.
It's really not selling it.
It looks horrendous. And if you eat that after a big night, like you're going to go straight to bed. There's no other place. You cannot keep going.
Okay. As a cook, what's your go-to meal? Or as a chef?
Oh, so many. Oh. If I have every ingredient I'm available, go to like, is it for me or for this?
Both. One for you, one for your guests.
Okay, for me it has to be something with rice.
Okay.
I like something simple. Like I'll make like an oyakodon. Oyakodon is that dish that's a mother and son. That's the translation in Japanese. So it's a bowl of rice. It's a don. So donburi is on rice. So it's very simple. There's chicken, onions, egg, and sort of suyu sauce, which is like a dashi, soy, mirin, sugar.
Okay.
And the egg just a little bit uncooked to make it, and that's on rice. I'll make that for myself.
And for
guests,
spaghetti toast.
pie floaters.
Yeah.
No, for guests will be maybe a paella. I like rice. Rice is a paella. I can make a Spanish paella pretty quickly. Or maybe just a Venezuelan style barbecue. Yeah.
Nice. And tying back from the very start of the podcast, you mentioned now with, which I don't agree, but with age, you're now doing more exercise. What are you doing?
I got a mace bell.
A what?
Mace bell is, the bell. Bell is kettlebell, dumbbell, barbell. So it's a mace, which is a long rod with a ball at the end, and so it's like the weight is at the end.
Yep.
So it looks like a sledgehammer, but instead of shape of a hammer, it's round. It's spherical.
Yep.
And it's fun because I like clang clang. So I start the workout with that. So I feel like I'm playing with a sword.
So you like banging the floor or banging?
No, it's just you do it's good for the shoulders. It's heavy.
Yeah, like
It's shoulders and core, but it makes you active. And then after that, I go, now let's do some exercise. Let's do some push-ups, and I'm lifting a heavy bag. That's it. A 40
Nice.
kilo sandbag.
not bad.
Just those two things. And if I'm traveling,
Yep.
if I'm traveling for over a week, I bring the base belt with me because if I'm traveling with Virgin, I got gold, so I can bring two.
No, not in carry-on.
Not in carry-on. I did that in Adelaide,
Really?
and I used it a few times.
Nice.
And sometimes I bring elastic bands.
Nice. How good are you at siestas?
The best.
Best in the world, best in Australia.
I take naps every day,
What time?
around 2,
And for how long?
45 minutes.
And what happens if you do longer?
I'll be well rested. I don't.
You don't oversleep and feel horrible?
No, I'm a professional.
Okay. I'm proud.
And at home, my dog takes the nap with me on the couch, and it's
Yep.
the best.
That's very cute. What was the moment like being a class clowns judge?
Oh, I love it. It's I try not to be as hard as I am with myself or with my comedy friends.
Yep.
But so class clowns. I'm not only a judge. I've judged. I have done a couple of give them workshops like 4 times. I think some of them are better than raw comedy.
Oh.
Yeah, because they're very, very unique. Like, there's a moment where the beginning of every comedian, include every one of us, will do the jokes that you think people will laugh. I'm gonna say this because I think people find this funny.
Yep.
You don't do the joke that you think is funny. You think you work for them, and sometimes you're not connected with that thing. Or I want to do the joke that people want to hear. So if I go to a comedy night and everybody's talking about transgender or wokes, okay, I'm gonna do a thing about trans and woke because everybody's talking about this. And maybe you're not emotionally connected with that material, and you can feel that.
So you get that in the class clowns environment?
In class clowns, they don't have that. They just do the things they like.
Oh, gotcha.
So the authenticity in class clowns is more obvious and beautiful than in raw comedy, because in raw comedy, there's people who go to, I'm going to try to be funny. Don't try to be funny. Just do the thing that you like. Just be unique.
It's a good full circle moment for you as well, starting out and now you're judging others.
Yeah,
That's
I also
pretty
judge raw comedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've judged both of them.
No, not anymore from raw comedy.
Raw comedy, it's different because the judging is not just who's the funniest, is who's the funniest and might have a career.
Interesting.
So you have to judge for that. You have to judge, like, of course you're going to judge who's the funniest. Of course. That's the number one thing. But some people are super funny and after 5 minutes you're done.
Yeah, they've had
And
enough.
some people are super funny and you want to hear more.
Interesting.
And that's, for me, the person who will have potentially a better career.
Okay. What would you do if you knew you could not fail?
If I knew I cannot fail,
Yep.
wow, there's so many things. This is only because a friend of mine told me about this yesterday, but I'm pretty sure there's other things.
Yep.
I'm afraid of doing a 10-day silent retreat.
Same. Dave, do you know Dave Norton?
Yeah.
I think, did he?
He did it.
Yeah.
And he did a show about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very afraid of doing that.
Why?
Maybe failing. Maybe in a
Leaving or?
moment of desperation and quitting halfway through. Sometimes I think it will be good for me. Sometimes I think, why put yourself in that situation that sounds horrendous?
Yeah.
So I still haven't figured out, but it's always at the back of my head, the idea of doing it.
He planted the seed. I've been thinking about it so much. I think I will start with 3 days and build myself up. It's also, it's crazy.
It's one of maybe conquering biggest fears, right? Which
Yeah.
is maybe not thinking. Another thing, okay, what would I do if I not fail? Give me an example. What would be your answer?
No one's ever asked me that before. I would probably send my scripts to every producer in America. I think that, and there's a reason, because often when you send a script, they can like blacklist. I'm not going to put all the fear out there, or they only read the script once, and then that's kind of it. They've seen it's not hot anymore. That's
Okay,
what
I see.
But you gave a great example.
I totally understand that, because I think I stopped writing pitches because of that. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's just to be aligned
Yes.
with that one human that is behind saying yes or no. It's just, it has to be like a cosmic miracle, because you can write an amazing thing, but it's just that person who doesn't want that at the time, wants other stuff.
Divine timing.
Yeah.
The universe has to work for you, everything.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is true that if the person who does one pitch a year has less chances of getting it to the person that sends 100 pitches a year.
Yeah.
But still, when that pitch is yes, it's because all the stars aligned.
Exactly.
And maybe I want to work on the things I can control a bit more.
I get that.
Yeah, it's so hard. So hard.
Yeah, I like that outlook, in the sense of like everything kind of works together. And it does when it's in perfect alignment.
Yeah.
You just have to find that moment, and it normally comes from, I don't know, your perspective.
And this is for you and for whoever is listening that also writes and sends pitches. It's not about you. I'm pretty sure it's really good. It's just that other, it's like one in a million.
Exactly. And going back to what you said as well, like one's comedy is not for everyone, but if you find the right person or the right group, like Curb Your Enthusiasm, I don't know if you watch it.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty hard, I think, just on paper without Larry David and say, here's the show. People are like, what is this? But now it's like the greatest show. So
absolutely. Agree.
Cool. Last two, this is a big one, and I could potentially help you out. You've spoken about your change of view of success over the years and how it's more about people. What's your new definition of success?
Content. That's success. Absolutely. Success is being okay. I've suffered from anxiety.
Yep.
And I take medication for anxiety for many years. And I've had panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and anxiety is the thing about worrying about what's not in front of you. It's just worrying about everything.
Yep.
And for me, content is success. It's being okay with being okay with your life. It's very similar to being okay in your own company, which is it extrapolates.
I agree
to that. So if you're okay being alone and enjoying your own company, that's a very similar feeling of being okay with your life. So if you can connect those two, like in everything, relationship, work, health. Yeah.
Good perspective.
Yeah.
Last one before I ask how people can follow you. Any advice you want to give to people who want to try something different or new, but perhaps a bit fearful of doing so?
Oh. Well, for example, being on stage. I've hosted many raw comedy hits. I have hosted the final. I have done workshops for raw comedy and class clowns. Stage fright, the way I see it, is remember that you're also an audience. People who are afraid to go on stage, they forget that they've been there. and they have never thought the thing they are going to think of them. So let me say, people who are they're gonna judge me, they're gonna think I'm a failure, they're gonna make fun of me, they're gonna do these things, and I go, when you see someone on stage, do you think that? No. What we think, people, especially if you've never been on stage, is that must be hard to do.
Yeah.
So you have the power of knowing that you're doing something they wish they could do it.
Yeah.
They're actually, if you don't insult them, they have a bit of respect to you for doing what you're doing. And just think that. And if you always wanted to be on stage, just before going on stage, and I do it most of the time. Sometimes I'm great. I'm not religious, but I just look up because there's something out there, and I say thank you because I'm about to do the thing that I always wanted to do.
Cool. Yeah, that's beautiful.
And if you want to do something that scares you, and you have the opportunity to do it, but it's because you really want to do it, not because someone's forcing you. You go, instead of being afraid, I should be thankful that I can do it.
What a unique perspective. I love that. Good for you. Before we go, how can people follow you and keep up to date with you?
Ivan Comedy on Instagram, ivancomedy.com.au on social media, on my website.
Cool. I'll put all of those in the episode notes below. Thank you. You have a unique mindset. It's very contagious. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
you so much.
Michael. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having me. This was great.
I love how Ivan talks about having your audience, in that not everyone is right for you or share common humor, ideas, etc. And that's okay. Just because one person doesn't find you funny doesn't mean you're not talented. It just means you're in the wrong room. By focusing on what works for you and who is right for you is a lot easier than worrying about all the negativity and the people who don't like us. He explains, read the haters, that by doing something you love, there will always be someone or a small minority that don't like what you're doing, not because you're bad or doing the wrong thing, but simply because of the fact they wish they had the courage to do so. Although this can be less than easy to navigate, knowing you are on the right path and doing what you like and love will outlast and outshine all those that are not for us. So I'll leave you with this epic quote. If you try to please all, you please none. Aesop. Thank you for listening to the Funny and Failure podcast, exploring the deeper side of comedy.